think we're in the top 10 right now. Just hopefully we can stay there.
Now, you're typical of the guys that come out of the Midwest off the short track. 21 years on the short tracks, and even last year you won a 400-lapper at Winchester. How much of the transition is it to come from the short tracks and the high banks of the Midwest of Indiana to Daytona?
The big thing is just getting used to the heavier cars and slowing the reaction times on them. The racetrack's so big. When you get used to running like Winchester and Salem, you know, on a really fast half mile, there's so much room out here. It was fairly easy for me.
Hey, good luck to you on Sunday.
Hey, thanks a lot.
By the way, Brian Ross, his team consultant, is the veteran ageless one, Red Farmer. And I asked Red what a consultant was. So the consultant is someone who goes and helps them all the time, and except when the fish are biting.
All right, folks, here he is, Matt Hutter. This is the guy that everybody said could not miss for the pole. He's completed, oh my goodness, one lap. Got a lot to pick up. 48.202, 186.714. And he and Chad Chaffin ran exactly the same speed in the last practice run. And right now, Chaffin on the pole, 188.4.
But the fastest lap that he has turned came in the morning practice session at 189.837. That is the fastest of any car driver in ARCA so far in the practice. Let's see what he can do as he comes down to take the checkered flag. Is Matt Hutter going to repeat as pole sitter?
Let's see.
Ray Dunlap thinks so.
I'll be surprised if he didn't.
Oh, he missed it.
Not quite. Not quite.
I better quit predicting.
47.818, 188.214 miles per hour. Chad Chaffin hangs on.
Now, Benny, this is the car that Shauna Robinson drove last year at this event and finished second. Matt drove the same race car at Talladega and finished second, so I'm sure that this is going to be a good race car.
And Chaffin keeps the pole by 5/100ths of a second in a 2.5-mile lap. That is close.
Matt's pole speed last year was 188. Jerry, what's going on down in the ARCA inspection area?
Well, Bob, here the cars are all up on jack stands. They're pulling out the springs and shocks, and we were going to show you this area for a lot of reasons, also to show you how hard these ARCA officials and inspectors are working to get these cars to make sure the playing field is level. There's Mark Gibson's car just having pulled in a moment ago. The Cornwell Tools crew now getting it up on stands. They'll pull all 4 shocks and springs off and take them over to be checked by the ARCA inspectors. Now, I'm standing with Joe Wells, who's the competition director of ARCA. And, Joe, unfortunately, you have some bad news for at least one race team.
At this point in time, the time when the number 1 car has been disallowed, the spoiler didn't meet the minimum 60-degree requirement.
Now that's the Matt Hutter car, and your rules say 6.5 by 57 inches and a minimum 60 degrees when they come back. Now, you measure them before they go out and when they come back in, and it was not at a minimum 60 degrees?
That's correct. We measure them before they go out on the line. They're measured again before they take off to take their qualifying laps. Then they're checked right after they get off the racetrack. If they're not correct out there, the official calls me or one of my guys. We'll go out and get the car, bring it right back to the same place that we did the initial inspection to make sure that we have a level surface and recheck at the same place. And it's a do or die time there. It's either correct or not.
And speaking of do or die, with 1 round of qualifying, if that time is disallowed, then basically they don't have any points from last year's car owners, or very few. They're probably not going to make the field.
Unfortunate but true. The 1 car is a good car. And you hate it when you only have 1 round of qualifying, but everybody's got to play by the same rules. 60 degrees, 60 degrees. A degree here and there, or 1/8 of an inch here and there is an awful lot at a restrictor plate racetrack.
And you're the guy that has to keep the playing field level. Well, I appreciate you taking a moment to come by and tell us. I know you're very, very busy. We'll let you get back to work, Joe. Thanks for taking a moment.
Thank you, Jerry.
Joe Wells, the competition director. They do a marvelous job here, like the Winston Cup inspectors do. They do an incredible job to check these shocks and springs and make sure that everyone has an even chance to be able to get in this race. And also, when they get in the race, they have a safe race car to race it on Sunday. Unfortunately, that didn't work today for Matt Hutter and James Finch Chevrolet team.
As a matter of fact, the ARC officials have already taken the 1 car off the grid. He does not even exist. He's just like he hasn't been there. And the cars that had been bumped, like Bob Kelly had been bumped, he's now back in 34th position.
Quite a story here as Matt Hutter, who was a pole sitter last year here at Daytona's car, has been disqualified after qualifying. We'll be right back. And on the bubble right now is the 47 car of John Hurd. Down to Jerry Punch.
Well, we're standing by with James Finch, who owns the car number 1 of Matt Hutter. You heard just a moment ago from Joe Wells that after they had inspected the car coming back in post-race inspection, that the spoiler, which has to be a minimum of 60 degrees, was actually 2 degrees too light. How much was it, James? 2 thousandths too light. So James is going to pull his gauge across, and you'll take a look at it. Just barely clicks under 60 degrees, so right on the outside margin there. Now, James, obviously got to be very disheartening for you guys because you've won this race 3 times as a car owner. You finished second last year with Shauna, and you probably got to feel bad for Matt Hutter, who had a great opportunity here.
Yeah, I really hate it for Matt. I guess, we'll be back in Talladega and try it there, but, it's 2 thousandths that's some call to make, to disqualify the time. And this year was the first year they didn't have 2 rounds of qualifying, so we don't have an opportunity to go tomorrow. So we'll go home and wait for the next race.
So there is really no appeal process. I mean, basically the gauge shows you just a little shallow, but they measured it before you went out.
Yes, they did. And like you say, you can measure it here, and you can get several different readings. But 2 thousandths, 59.8 versus 60, and then 62, but they made the call to disallow the time.
All right, well, we're sorry for you. We're sorry for Matt Hutter to be back later on in the week with a Busch car.
Yes, we'll be running 2 cars. Matt will have a good Busch car, too, so hopefully we can make it up to Matt in the Busch race.
And make it up next Saturday. Thanks, James.
Thank you.
James Finch, one of the classy guys here in the garage area, an owner that was agreeing to come on and talk with us about what happened, and showed basically by pulling his own gauge across that they were indeed correct, that it was just shy of 60 degrees, and what a heartbreaker for this team that had a great race car. And how about the driver, Benny? Can you imagine Matt Hutter having an opportunity to win a race like this, and now it's gone?
I'm telling you what, I don't hate. That is a tough deal.
Well, and it's pushing the envelope, Benny, and what's really sad about it is those guys have such a good team and such a good car, they didn't even need it to be that close, and they'd have still been very competitive. But I guess as a crew chief and a driver, you want to go as fast as you can.
They wanted the pole position.
Yeah.
They were going for the pole. They were not going to settle for 10th spot. They wanted number 1.
The race on speed. Jerry Punch is with a very disappointed, understandably, Matt Hutter.
Well, Bob, exactly. You summed it up perfectly. And Matt had the sunglasses on, and when he pulled them off, the eyes were a little bit moist. Matt, I can't blame you. It's got to be devastating for a driver that you get that kind of race car, and you're that close, and yet you're not going to be able to compete on Sunday.
Yeah, it's pretty upsetting to the whole team. As good as the car was all week, we didn't need to try to get away with anything, and we weren't trying to get away with anything. A little bit of inconsistency there in the technical procedures, and it bit us, and it's really unfortunate because we brought a good car, and it should be in the field.
Now, your contention, you're talking about inconsistency. Your contention is they measured it in a different place than the couple of spots they checked it when it went out?
Yeah. They checked it out, and then they checked it in a different place when it comes in, and they haven't checked it there all week. It's like I said, we didn't need to try to get away with anything. The car's been good, and it's just it's kind of strange that it would go down like that.
What does this do to you? I mean, you've got to try to get your thoughts back together and gather back up to be able to go run Busch later on next week. But for a couple of days here, you just got to say, man, I've been so geared up to run this ARCA race and win this thing after sitting on the pole last year. What do you do? How do you get it back?
Well, you just put it behind you and go on. Like I said, I don't feel that's right. I feel the car should be in the field. And we just put it behind us and pull out the Busch car and do the best we can with that.
They make up for it next Saturday.
That's the plan.
Matt Hutter able to smile, although when he walked over a moment ago with those glasses on, you could tell when he pulled them off that it was a very, very emotional time for a young man who thought maybe his career, like a Benny Parsons or a Kyle Petty, would take off with a win in an ARCA race here coming up this Sunday.